Hey, it's Sophia Lazuli and welcome to my channel. For those of you who already know me, hey. If you don't already know me, you're probably here because you're wondering how I got started figure skating at 24. And even if you know me, you're probably still wondering because I haven't shared that story in a minute. So buckle in because I'm spilling all the tea. I'm getting into the nitty gritty. And hopefully this can help some of you out there if you're thinking about getting into it, since I'm gonna be sharing some of the things that helped me get to where I am today. So a little bit of background. Currently, I am 26 years old and I started skating at 24 years old. And I've been sharing my journey online ever since day one. I wanna be clear, I count my days on ice, so just the days that I skate, not every consecutive day since I've started skating. So currently I'm on day 285, and you would think that's under a year by how it's stated, but it's not. I've actually been skating for a little over 2 years, I guess almost 2.5 years at this point. And I just wanted to clear that up so y'all don't think I've been skating for under a year and I've gotten this far in under a year. Because it's possible, but it wasn't possible for me. So I don't want there to be any confusion on that. So I started August 29th, 2021. It was literally the most randomest thing. I was in the car with my bestie driving down the street, and I don't know if you do this, but when I listen to music, I imagine a whole music video in my head and it's just like a party up there. And for some reason, those couple of weeks leading up to that day, I kept imagining myself figure skating in those music videos, which is so weird because I've never really been into figure skating. Like, I've never watched the Olympics, I've never watched any competitions that had to do with figure skating. I obviously watched Ice Princess when I was younger, because who didn't? When I was like a kid, sometimes my parents would take me and my sister to Rockefeller Center and we would ice skate there, and that happened a handful of times growing up. But I remember I would just like hold on to the wall, and then when I got the confidence, I would let go and I would go in a circle. But that's the most skating background that I had. And every time I would go back, I forgot how to skate and I would be back on the wall. So I basically started from scratch. I've also never been an athlete. I have no athletic background. Like, I consider myself a professional couch potato. Well, used to be reformed professional couch potato. She's a little active now, but back in the day, I used to literally not move. Like, I hated moving. It made me want to peel my skin off. The fact that I was thinking about figure skating was like so random and weird. And I remember saying to my friend, confession, I've been thinking about figure skating. Should I like start or something? And I say stuff like that all the time, and then I'm joking. But she's always like my #1 supporter, and it's always pushing me to do things that are a little bit out of my comfort zone, or even a lot of it out of my comfort zone, which always helps me grow, so I'm thankful for her. But she was immediately like, let's go right now. And I was like, slow down. I don't know anything about the sport. Like, I need to watch a tutorial or something. Like, I need a lesson. Like, I don't even know if there are rinks in the area. And she's like on her phone looking it up. Like, look, there's a rink in this location. There's a rink up the street, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is becoming too real too fast. It was just a thought in my head. Chill out. And she was really like encouraging me to do it. And I was saying every stigma that existed out there. I was like, well, aren't I too old to start? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay, well, am I not like white enough? Am I too black? I don't see black people skating like that. And she's like, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, facts. I don't even know why I had that thought. That's crazy. And then I was like, am I too big to start? Because anytime I've ever seen a figure skater, they're like super skinny mini. Nothing wrong with that, but I just didn't know if that was something that was even possible for me because I don't see it. People really underestimate how much representation can make an impact on someone, because lack of representation really makes you feel like excluded. Like, that's not something that's possible for you. So because I didn't see anyone who looked like me skating ever, I was like, is this a realistic thought in my head? But my bestie, she was like, yeah, it's realistic. You can do anything you want to do. So shout out to her. Thank you for that, because I really wouldn't have started if it wasn't for you. After that, I was already on the way to my house, so I was like, you know what, let's go to my house, let's look up some tutorials, and then tomorrow we'll go. Because like, going right now, I'm a planner, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need a second. I need to think about this. So we went back to my place and we watched a bunch of beginner tutorials, a lot of Coach Julia. I'm gonna link a lot of the people that I watched when I started down below, so you can check that out down there. But I was looking at tutorials on like how to fall safely and get up safely, and how to do swizzles. And I was like, okay, I feel like I'm ready. This looks so easy. Boy, was I wrong. So the next day, August 29th, 2021, my skate anniversary, I go to the rink and I'm in the rentals. I'm like, this is gonna be so easy. They make it look so simple in the tutorials. I get on the ice. I'm like, what's going on here? Holding onto the wall. The wall is my new best friend. We're married, basically. And I'm like frightened because I'm like, this is actually kind of hard. Obviously it's hard, but I really underestimated how hard it was. Like I said, when I was younger, I skated a few times. That was when I was very young. Like, I can't even tell you the last time I did that. So it was really fresh for me, really new. I hung onto the wall for a while, and then I was able to let go, and I was doing my thing. around the rink, just doing my circles. Then I did some swizzles. I tried to do some backward swizzles, but they were terrifying. I tried to do a spin, almost killed someone, but I had the best time ever. I was really enjoying myself. I felt so free, and I was like, you know what? This is my new thing. This is my new obsession. I have to do this for the rest of my life. This session was an hour and a half, but I felt like it was like 3 seconds. Where did the time go? Why am I being kicked off the rink right now? I want to skate again. I called it a night, watched some more tutorials, got back on the ice, and it's literally been non-stop ever since. Let's get a little deep real quick. Before skating, I was like in a state of neutral for a long time, and nothing really made me feel really happy or excited for the most part. I was like in and out of depression, and it's a lot. But with skating, I felt a kind of happiness that I had never felt before, and that's really just in that moment. That it sounds so dramatic, but I promise you, that's when I knew this is what I have to do. I could go on for days about that, but I gotta give you all the tips. I gotta give you all the background. I remember day one, I told my friend, like, don't record me, I want me on camera. And look at me now, recording every single time I skate to share my journey with you guys and to just document the progress. So the first 3 months of my journey, I was just teaching myself. And a big thing when I first started, after like 3 or 4 days, I realized that like I was so scared of falling. Like I wouldn't let myself fall. And I noticed that that was holding me back from learning certain things. So I would go with my friends sometimes, and I told them, like, if I don't fall today by this time, push me. I'm not telling you to do that because that's dangerous, but I literally would tell them, like, push me if I don't fall by this time in the session, because I need to get comfortable with falling. And if I don't get comfortable with falling, I know it's gonna hold me back. So literally push me. And that's what they did. You know, they had my back or whatever. Again, don't recommend that. That's dangerous. After that, I didn't want to get pushed because it was scary, and what was less scary was just letting myself fall. So I would let myself fall, and I taught myself how to fall safely and get up safely. If you want to know how to do that, look up a tutorial. I'll link one below. I can also make a tutorial too if that's something you guys are interested in. So let me know. I would record myself practicing, and then I would go home later that night and I would look at the tutorial that I tried to follow, and I would compare my skating to that. Because I'm a visual learner, so I need to see the comparison to see like why something may not be working, or even understand why it does work. Comparing the two was helping me progress and learn and fix my mistakes. Granted, I wasn't fixing every mistake, because I later learned that I taught myself some of these things kind of wrong, which is a side effect of teaching yourself and going to YouTube University. But as a graduate, I could say it was still worth it though, because it was free. And it got me into it. Skating is expensive. It's an expensive sport. If you can teach yourself, do that, but also be safe because it is dangerous. So I was teaching myself for the first 3 months, and then after that, that's when I decided to take Learn to Skate classes. So Learn to Skate is a program that offers group classes. They have the basic classes, and then they also have adult classes, which are the basic classes, just the adult version. It's basically the same thing. In the adult curriculum, which I'll also link below, there's adult 1 through 6. And then once you're done with adult 1 through 6, or if you're younger, basic 1 through 6, you can level up to the FREESKATE curriculum, which is the same for both adults and children. So I taught myself up to adult 4, and I was just following the curriculum that I found online until I felt like I couldn't really teach myself much anymore. Like I could teach myself, but like I felt like I was getting stagnant and I wanted to learn a little bit faster. I was also only teaching myself things on like one side of my body, and I wasn't pushing myself. So I was like, I need to be in a class because this isn't working out that much anymore. So I joined the class, and that's when I really realized like I'm a one-sided skater. I can only do crossovers on one side. And my arms were great. Like my form was weird. After my first session of Learn to Skate, I leveled up from adult 4 all the way up to pre-FREESKATE. I was ready for FREESKATE 1 after those 7 weeks, and I was so excited. I remember I had my little certificate. I felt like I was in elementary school, and I was like, Mommy, take a picture of me. And after that, I was teaching myself again a little bit. I took one private lesson to see how it was, and it was just really intimidating for me. And I don't know, having the spotlight on me and all the attention in the private lesson was just like intense, and the lady I was taking it from was a bit intense. So yeah, I was like, I'm gonna chill with that. So I was teaching myself again for a few weeks or maybe a month or so, and then I enrolled into Learn to Skate again. But when I was in there for that first class, for that first week, I realized that everything that they were teaching me were the things I already knew, and I didn't want to repeat any of that stuff. At the time, it didn't seem like they were teaching FREESKATE in Learn to Skate. I don't know if they teach FREESKATE in Learn to Skate now, but they weren't doing it when I was doing it back then. So I was like, this is pointless. Like I feel like it was a waste of money for me to enroll back into Learn to Skate if I'm just relearning the same stuff I already learned, because I can drill those on my own just at a public session. So after I realized that, I talked to the people at my rink and I asked them if I could switch to this program called Aspire instead, because I believe it was the same price for the same amount of weeks. It was either 7 or 6 weeks, 1 group class a week, but instead of it just going through the curriculum of Learn to Skate, it was a group class that required you to have already passed pre-free skate. And in that class, we would drill moves. So sometimes the coach would teach us new things or new jumps, but for the most part, we were doing drills. So we were doing toe pick drills, we were doing crossovers for mad long, we were doing spirals up and down the rink, lunges, bunny hops into lunges, like we were doing drills. I hope I'm explaining this correctly. I don't know why I keep saying the same thing. I thought that that was really helpful, because although I'm not necessarily learning the things in free skate every single time I'm in this class, because sometimes we would learn new things that were in the free skate curriculum. So although it wasn't going by the book for that, it was still really helpful because I was drilling a lot of the moves that I wouldn't drill on my own or that I wouldn't drill and Learn to Skate. I thought that class was really helpful, so I stuck to Aspire, and then after that was over, I was teaching myself again for a little bit, and then I re-enrolled back into Aspire, and then when that Aspire ended, I decided to stop with the group classes because I felt stagnant again. So then after that, that's when I started to try to take private lessons, but again, they're expensive. Everybody's different. Every rink's gonna be different. Every coach is gonna have a different rate. I had taken private lessons with a few different coaches, and it was all ranging from around $15 for like 20 minutes up to like $45 for 30 minutes. For the most part, most of them were about like $30 for about 20 or 30 minutes. I want to say $30 for 20 minutes. But the coach that I currently occasionally work with, because I am teaching myself still, however, I do take the occasional private lesson when I'm feeling, you know, a little rich or whatever, and like I can spend those extra dollars, but I still am like not messing with how much it costs, so I don't take them super often. The coach that I work with now, sometimes her rate is $45 for 30 minutes. It really varies. I've heard coaches in New York charge like $75 for 30 minutes, depending on who you go to, or even more. There are some coaches who charge way less, so it really depends on where you go, but those are the rates that I've experienced. So that's how it's been since I stopped the Aspire classes. Every once in a blue moon, I'll take a private lesson, but for the most part, I'm still just winging it and teaching myself. But I've gotten better at learning what proper form is, and now that I know people at the rink and I have more skating friends and I have you guys to help me out, I have like a community where I can ask people about my form and my corrections, and I'm not making like such huge mistakes teaching myself like I did back in the day. So I highly recommend taking videos of your progress and posting your progress, because people out there in the skating community, especially the adult side, are like super nice and super helpful and literally the best people on the planet, because like I wouldn't be where I am right now in skating if it wasn't for y'all helping me out. So much love, or like the Gen Z way, much love, thank you. But that's basically what classes and teaching myself look like. As for skating in general, public skate sessions are just a session where anyone in the public can go and skate, and some rinks are really strict about people practicing figure skating moves during public sessions. So some may have like the center blocked off and then the figure skaters can practice in the middle, or some rinks just don't allow it at all, or some rinks have certain rules, like you can practice certain things, but once you start getting really advanced, you gotta level up and move out. But then there's the figure skating sessions, which are a little bit more expensive and typically shorter than a public session. I think once you're above adult 6 or above pre-free skate, then you can start practicing during those sessions, and it's just for figure skaters. It is easier to practice at figure skating sessions. I prefer to practice at public skating sessions even to this day, because my rinks allow it and it's less expensive. I'm always pick the cheaper option, like I'm gonna be real with you. Every rink has different public skate times, so you'll just have to check your local rink's websites and see what times work best for your schedule. I prefer to practice during the day, like in the morning primarily, because that's when less people are there, but I know depending on your job, like it might not work with your schedule. But just keep in mind, after school times or near group class times and the weekends, that's when it's gonna be crowded. And I don't like the crowd. Even to this day, I don't like the crowd. I can't do it. Just something to keep in mind. So when I started skating, I looked up to see like what times I could go skate, and then I saw that they had like public session options, and I was like, is that me? I'm public? Those are the options for figure skating. There may be other options, I'm not 100% sure, but those are the types of sessions that I've experienced. If you've experienced any other kinds, comment them down below. And now I want to talk about boots. So when I started, obviously I was in rentals. I did not have my own skates, and rentals are death traps. Literally terrifying. If I had to skate in rentals right now, I would probably actually cry. True rentals, because they are so dangerous. What stuck out to me about rentals being actually insane and like dangerous were how loose the ankles were. Because like I didn't know anything about skating. I didn't know anything about blades being dull and like how that impacts your moves. I didn't know anything about that. But what I did notice was that the ankles were real wobbly, and I thought that any second my ankle was gonna snap and I was gonna break my entire body. It was just gonna shatter like glass. After 5 days on ice skating in rentals, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Get me out of these. But I also saw how expensive skates were, because now that I've been skating for a while and I see other skaters and what skates they typically start in, I see most adult skaters start in either the Jackson L or the Jackson Freestyle. And both of those skates cost around like $200, $300. So I love this sport and like I'm all about it, but I also have a tendency to quit things and I don't know how long this is gonna last. So at the time I was like, I don't know if this is an investment that I want to make, if I might end up quitting after like a month. Instead, what I did was go on Facebook Marketplace and I was looking for skates in my size, and I saw that someone was selling these skates called the Jackson Soft Skates, which were a recreational skate, not necessarily a figure skate, but they still had like a toe pick, and you know, they were white and they were cute and they were better than rentals. So I said, squash the rentals. They were $30. They were barely used. So I met up with the girl, got the skates, and then I started to skate in the Jackson Soft Skates. First of all, immediately felt so much better than skating in the rentals. And those aren't even true figure skates, but they felt way better than the rentals. So there's that. And the thing about skating boots, I can make a whole video like about skating boots. If you want me to, let me know. But they're much stiffer around the ankle because they need to support all the impact of your jumps and all of your moves in general. The rentals, they don't have that. And even the Jackson Soft Skates, like they weren't super stiff by any means, but they were definitely stiffer than the rentals. So they were way better to skate in and way better to learn in. Not recommending those necessarily, because again, they're a recreational skate. I would still recommend the Jackson L or the Jackson Freestyle for an adult skater. If you're a kid skater, then I would recommend something a little bit lower level, because like you're small. It's not just based on skill necessarily, it's also based on like size and weight, and adults are just larger people in general. So Jackson L or Freestyle for sure, not soft skate. But I started in the soft skate. They lasted me about 4 months until they started to literally disintegrate, but I kept skating in them I think up to about 6 months because I was waiting for my new skates to come in. So I went to my local pro shop and I got fitted for skates, and it was like a whole thing. She fitted me for the wrong size, ordered the wrong size, and there was a lot of back and forth, hence why my 4 months of skating in these boots turned into 6 months when it should have just been 4 months because they were really broken down. But that's besides the point. I ended up getting my skates in the end anyways, and I leveled up from the Jackson Soft Skates to the Jackson Premiers with the Legacy 8 blades. Because another thing about figure skates is once you get to a certain level, you start to buy the boot separately from the blade. So the Jackson L and the Jackson Freestyle and the Jackson Soft Skates that I've just been mentioning, they come with the blade attached. But once you get above, if we're talking Jackson brand, because there are other brands, but I love Jackson. But if we're talking Jackson, once you get to the Debut, which is a level above the Freestyle, that's when you have to start getting the blade separately. So there's the Freestyle, Debut, and then there's the Premier. And I had the Premiers with the Legacy 8 blades, and I honestly, like, ask your pro shop what boots will be best for you. They know better than anybody else, and they'll ask you about your skating background, what you're learning, how fast you probably learned some things, because everybody learns at a different pace, so it's really just about you as an individual, and they'll be able to recommend something that works best for you. I didn't want something that was going to break down super fast like my soft skates did. And I will say they were pricey. They were, I think, around like $700, almost $700, and those lasted me about 1.5 years. And then in the fall of last year, I ended up getting my new boots, which are my current boots, and those are the Jackson Synergies with the Matrix Legacy blades. And the great thing about Matrix Legacy is that they come in different colors, and I got the lilac. They're supposed to be lilac, but they give more like a pink vibe, but it's still super cute and I love them. That's what I've leveled up to, and those boots are really expensive. I believe they cost almost $1,200. So the higher level you get, the more expensive your boots are gonna cost, but also the stiffer they're gonna be, the safer they're gonna be for you to skate in, depending on what you're doing, obviously. The higher level you get, the more dangerous the moves get, the more of an impact it has on your ankles, on your knees, and you need more support in your boot. Those are the boots that I've used along my journey. I love Jackson. There are different boot brands you could get. There's Idea that's really popular. Rydell's really popular and really good too. There's also Rizport, Aura. I'm forgetting the other ones, but there's a ton of them. So do your research, go to your pro shop, see what works best for your kind of foot. I'm a Jackson girly, you know, I'm loyal, and I started with Jacksons. They've never failed me, so I'm sticking to Jackson. Everybody has their preference, but yeah, those are the boots that I've used, and the Synergies are what I currently use. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is testing and competing. So when I started skating, I immediately knew that I wanted to compete. The dresses, the grace, the flow, the aesthetic, like I was like, that, I need that in my life. Once I was in, I was like, I know I'm gonna compete, and I wanted to compete within the first 6 months of me skating, but where I was at in 6 months, I just wasn't happy with that. Like I wanted to compete when I could do like real clean jumps and where I felt like more confident about my moves. So I didn't end up competing for the first time until this most recent summer, so almost 2 years into my journey, which a lot of people don't do. A lot of people compete like right when they start, and that's great. I was just so nervous, and like I'd be beating myself up about my progress sometimes, which I'm sure we all do, but especially back then, I was like, if I compete and I'm not able to do like certain jumps that I want to do, like I'm gonna be sad because I want to go like all out. Like that's what I was thinking at the time, like I want to go all out for my performance. I want to do something, I want to do an axel. That's not what happened. Obviously, I don't even have my axle yet. But I had big dreams when I started. So last year, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna compete. No matter where I'm at in my journey, like I wanna compete. I gotta rip the band-aid off with that one. I can only plan to a certain extent for something that I've never done before. So done with the planning, let's just get into it. I competed in this competition called the Peach Classic last year, and I gave myself a month to learn the routine and prepare and all that stuff, and that's when I got with a coach, and she taught me the routine a month beforehand, and I practiced that whole month leading up to the competition. And it was like the craziest experience of my life. If you want to know more about that, I'll make a separate video because this video is already like extremely long. I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk so much, but that experience was crazy. I've never cried at the rink before in this whole journey up until I started trying to compete. And that month leading up to competing, I probably cried like 3 times at the rink. And I'm not even a crier like that, but I don't know. I learned a lot from that experience. I'm definitely gonna be competing again this year. I wanna compete at least twice. So it didn't scare me away from competing, but it taught me a lot about what I should know and how much time I should give myself to prepare when I compete again. But yeah, as an adult, you can compete. They have adult nationals and everything. So I just wanted to share that with you guys if you're thinking like, oh, I'm an adult, can I even compete if I want to? Yes, there are competitions out there. There are even qualifying competitions out there. That's something that I really want to do. Like I'm big on wanting to compete like big time. Like I want to like do that like professionally. I'm not at that level yet, but that is definitely one of my goals. If it's one of your goals too, we're in this together, and it's gonna be quite the journey, but I'm locked in. Like I said, if you wanna know more, let me know and I'll make a separate video on the ins and outs of competing, how much it costs me, how I would better prepare for it in the future, just like all the need to knows about it. I just wanted to share that like as an adult, you can compete. Qualifying, non-qualifying, just for funsies. There are many different categories, but just keep in mind, it's definitely a thing that you can do. For tests, so with skating, you don't have to take tests, but there are different tests that you can take, and there are 2 different tracks. So there's the standard track, which you can also do as an adult, and then there's the adult track. I decided to do the adult track, and in the adult track, there's a lot of different tests. I'm not like fully educated on all of the test types, but from what I do know and what I'm personally going to be doing are the moves in the field test, which I think they just changed to skating skills, so I will refer to them as skating skills. But there's the skating skills test, and then there's the free skate test. So the skating skills test has more to do with like moves on the ice, crossovers, figures, just like different steps and different like techniques, I want to say. I feel like I'm using the wrong words. Whereas the free skate test has more to do with jumps and spins and how you would perform them in a routine. I've never taken a free skate test before, but last year in April, I took my first skating skills test, which was the pre-bronze adult skating skills test. Back then called Moves in the Field. I actually have a video of my test on my channel, so if you want to check it out, I'll also link that below. Like I said, you don't have to test. You can literally just keep learning and skating and just learn for yourself. But I really wanted to test because I just really wanted that challenge. And I believe in order to do qualifying competitions in the future, or even certain competitions at a certain level, you need to have a test under your belt so you can compete at that level. Competitions like for funsies at your rink, I don't know if they require that, but qualifying competitions, yes. And like most competitions, you would have had to have a test under your belt to compete at a specific level. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. Knowing that I wanted to compete, I was like, I'm gonna test first, and that would make me feel more prepared anyways. So in April, I took the pre-bronze adult skating skills test and I passed with honors. I was so happy. I think I gave myself about a month and a half to prepare for that, and I took private lessons in order to prep me for that as well. Also, the test cost money. I believe my test was $30. I can't 100% remember. In order to test, I do believe you have to be in a figure skating club. So I'm in the Georgia Figure Skating Club, and this is just for US figure skating. I don't know about the other countries, but I know every state has their own figure skating club, and once you join, you're able to test, and there's like an annual fee that you pay every year to stay in the club. Once you're in the club, you can then test, and each test costs a different amount. And I was like, I'm not retaking this test. I'm passing with honors the first time. Luckily I did, and it went really well. And I really feel like prepping for that test improved my overall skating, like not just the moves that were on the test, but even like when I would jump, like I felt a lot stronger in my jumps. My spins felt a lot stronger because I was working on my edges more with the test. So in general, even if you don't want to like pay for the test and like fully take the test, look up the moves that are on the test. I'll put a link for it down below, and just like practice those yourself, because knowing those moves, drilling those edges really help with your overall skating. So I haven't taken a free skate test before, so I can't really touch too much on that without possibly being wrong about a lot of stuff. I really want to pass adult bronze and silver this year, and I will be taking the adult bronze test for sure in the next few months. So we'll see how that goes. Stick around to see how it goes, because I'll upload that test too if I get a chance to. They don't always let you record it, things like that. And if you want more specifics about like testing and competing, I can make a separate video about that too. But this video was just about going over how I got into figure skating. I just wanted to give you guys the inside info and let you know that it is possible as an adult. And it's not even just me. Like, yeah, I started at 24, and that's like old in figure skating terms according to the stigma, which the stigma is a lie. I've met skaters in their 70s on the ice that started late in the game and are still skating strong, doing cartwheels in their routines. You are not too old to start skating. You can literally start at any age. It's possible for anyone. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too hard to follow because I got a scatterbrain. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye. Or should I say,
okay, bye.